Who is Emine Erdogan, the First Lady of Turkey? She's a woman who lives in a dazzling palace, sips white tea worth $2,000 a kilogram, and moves through life like royalty. Yet she's not a queen. Her story is one of transformation, from a shy girl in a modest Kurdish family to one of the most powerful and controversial women in Turkey. But how did she get here? Why did her mother-in-law try to stop her marriage? And what secrets does this family, living in unimaginable luxury, keep hidden? Let's dive into the captivating life of Emine Erdogan, a woman some in Turkey are too afraid to talk about openly. Emine Gulbaran was born in 1955 in Istanbul's bustling Fatih district, a place where tradition and modernity often clashed. She was the youngest of 5 children and the only girl in a religious Kurdish family. Growing up, her 4 older brothers doted on her, treating her like their little princess. She was a quiet, kind-hearted child, always polite, a bit shy, and deeply respectful of her family's values. Emine went to a girls' elementary school where she excelled in her studies and later enrolled in an art school, dreaming of a creative future. But she never finished. The pressures of family expectations and her own uncertainties led her to drop out, a decision that would change her life forever. When Emine left school, her brothers had strong opinions about her future. If she wasn't going to study, they insisted she should cover her head and embrace the hijab, a symbol of modesty in their conservative household. For a teenage Emine, this was terrifying. None of her friends wore headscarves, and Turkey in the 1970s was a secular state where religious clothing was restricted in public spaces. The idea of standing out, of being different, weighed heavily on her. In a rare and candid interview years later, Emine revealed that this moment pushed her to the edge. She felt so trapped that she even considered taking her own life. It's a heartbreaking glimpse into the inner world of a young woman caught between tradition and her own fears. But then, fate stepped in. Emine's life took a dramatic turn when she attended a meeting organized by the Association of Idealistic Women, a group focused on faith and community. She was there with a friend, expecting a routine event with the Prime Minister as the main speaker. But the spotlight wasn't on him. Instead, it was a tall, charismatic 23-year-old in a sharp suit who stole the room's attention. His name was Recep Tayyip Erdogan, a rising star in Istanbul's political scene and chairman of the city's municipal council. As he spoke passionately about faith, recited poetry, and shared his vision for Turkey, Emine felt something stir inside her. Her cheeks flushed, and she leaned over to her friend, whispering, "I saw this man in my dream last night. I dreamed I'd marry him." It sounds like something out of a fairy tale, but for Emine, it was the beginning of everything. Their connection was instant, but their path to marriage wasn't easy. Recep Tayyip Erdogan's mother, Tanzil Erdogan, was fiercely opposed to Emine. She had a very different vision for her son's wife, a woman fully covered in a chador, someone who embodied traditional values to the fullest. To Tanzil, Emine, with her modern outlook and reluctance to wear a hijab, seemed too progressive, not traditional enough for her ambitious son. The disapproval was so strong that it threatened to derail the relationship. But Recep Tayyip Erdogan's inner circle saw something else in Emine. They believed a young politician with big dreams needed a partner who could stand by his side, represent Turkey on a global stage, and balance tradition with modernity. With their support, Recep Tayyip Erdogan stood firm, and Tanzil eventually relented. On July 4, 1978, Emine and Recep Tayyip Erdogan tied the knot in a simple ceremony at an Istanbul restaurant. It wasn't a lavish affair, but it marked the start of a partnership that would reshape Turkey. Emine Gulbaran became Emine Erdogan, the wife of a man whose political rise would make him one of the most powerful leaders in the country's history. After the wedding, Emine poured her heart into her family. The couple welcomed 4 children, sons Ahmet Burak and Bilal, and daughters Esra and Sumaya. All 4 went on to study at prestigious universities in Europe and the United States, a privilege that set them apart in a country where access to such opportunities was rare. For years, Emine stayed out of the public eye, content to support her husband quietly. But as Recep Tayyip Erdogan's political career soared, he became Istanbul's mayor in 1994 and later Turkey's prime minister in 2003, Emine's role began to shift. She accompanied him to official events, her presence graceful but understated. Yet, even her low profile couldn't shield her from controversy. In the early 2000s, a group of secular activists accused Emine and other prominent women who wore hijabs of undermining Turkey's modern, secular identity. They argued that her headscarf sent the wrong message to the world about Turkish women. The criticism stung, and though the government quickly suppressed the backlash, it left ripples in Turkish society, where debates over secularism and religion were deeply divisive. Then came another firestorm. During a Women's Day event in 2016, Emine made a comment that shocked many. She described the harems of the Ottoman Empire as schools of life where wise and influential women, like the mothers of sultans, were educated. To her, it was a nod to history, a way to reclaim a misunderstood institution. But to much of the world, especially in the West, the harem symbolized oppression and servitude, not empowerment. Critics pounced, accusing Emine of romanticizing a patriarchal past and undermining women's rights. The international media was unforgiving, dubbing her the First Lady of the harem. It was a label that stung, highlighting the cultural divide between Turkey and the global stage. So why does Emine Erdogan spark such intense reactions? Part of it lies in the stark contrast between the Erdogan family's lifestyle and the struggles of ordinary Turks. Recep Tayyip Erdogan's official wealth is estimated at $185 million, a fortune built on luxury real estate, restaurants, and even ownership of a football team, Istanbul Angels, and a vodka brand, an ironic detail for a leader who champions conservative Islamic values. Emine, meanwhile, has a taste for the finer things. She's known for shopping sprees in Europe's most exclusive boutiques, favoring brands like Hermès, Chanel, and Longchamp. Her handbags alone, some worth tens of thousands of dollars, have become a symbol of excess in a country where nearly a quarter of the population lives on less than $4 a day. Then there's the tea. Emine is said to drink a rare white tea from Turkey's Rise region, priced at an astonishing $2,000 per kilogram. To many Turks, this detail captures the disconnect between the First Lady and the people she represents. And let's not forget the palace. The Ak Saray, or White Palace, near Ankara, is a sprawling complex with over 1,000 rooms, built at a cost of $660 million. Critics compare it to the lavish residences of dictators like Saddam Hussein, a far cry from the modest life the Erdogans claim to lead. For a couple who often speak of humility and faith, the palace and the tea tell a different story. The contradictions came into sharp focus in 2020 when Recep Erdogan called for a boycott of French goods amid tensions with France. Social media users were quick to point out the irony. Emine was frequently spotted with French luxury accessories. The backlash was swift, with many accusing her of hypocrisy. In Turkey, where criticizing the First Lady can lead to lawsuits or worse, the media often treads carefully. One pro-government outlet tried to deflect the criticism with a bizarre article claiming Emine's designer handbags were fakes and that she was a frugal homemaker who made vinegar from lemon peels and sauces from olive pits. The article even suggested Turks follow her lead and drink Rise white tea, conveniently ignoring its jaw-dropping price. The piece backfired, earning mockery online and accusations of hypocrisy from both Turks and international observers. Emine's shopping habits have become legendary. During a 2015 trip to Brussels, while Recep met with EU leaders to discuss the migrant crisis, Emine's bodyguards cordoned off a shopping mall so she could browse Longchamp bags in peace. The British newspaper the Daily Mail called her a shopaholic, painting her life as an endless quest for luxury. Yet, Emine is more than her handbags. She's a powerful figure in her own right, recognized as one of the most influential Muslim women in the world. She's spearheaded initiatives on education, women's empowerment, and humanitarian aid, including a recent meeting with Syria's new First Lady, Latifa ad-Daroubi, to discuss support for Syrian refugees. These efforts have earned her admiration, particularly among Turkey's conservative base. Still, the whispers persist. In a country where free speech is tightly controlled, Emine Erdogan is a figure of fascination and fear. She's not a queen, but her life rivals that of royalty. While millions of Turks grapple with poverty, she sips her $2,000 tea and calls it modesty. Her story is one of resilience, faith, and ambition, but also of contradictions that spark debate across Turkey and beyond. What do you think of Emine Erdogan? Is she a misunderstood advocate for women or a symbol of excess in a struggling nation? Share your thoughts and let's keep the conversation going.